You are tuned in to Radio 786 on 100.4 FM. This is the Opinion 2.0 podcast, Ramadan edition. My name is Mikael Warden. You are sitting here with your co-host Yasin Jacobs, and we will be talking about Istiqāmah with Sheikh Hasan Labuschagne, who holds a Bachelor of Arts in International Studies at Stellenbosch. In 2022, he completed his Alimiya program in Islamic Studies at Darul Uloom Al Arabiya Al Islamiyya in Strand, better known as DUAI. He is currently pursuing a BA Honours degree in International Relations at the University of South Africa. Sheikh, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Shukran for coming in this evening. We appreciate your time. We don't have much time, so we're going to get right into it. So, the theme of Ramadan is obviously Istiqāmah. And so, the question we have for you is, what is the meaning of Istiqāmah in Islam, and how does the Quran emphasize its importance?
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salamu ala Rasulillah. Again, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So, Istiqāmah is a very important topic, good topic to delve into before Ramadan. Because most of the ulama, the classical ulama, define Istiqāmah or in relation to the Sirat al-Mustaqim. Right? So that is the path that we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala 17 times a day in Surah Fatiha. When we make our salah, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to guide us to that path. Mustaqim and Istiqāmah coming from the same root, meaning straight. So Istiqāmah, essentially to be straight. Sirat al-Mustaqim, a straight path, meaning it doesn't have branches. So you're safe, you're traveling in one direction. So in terms of Istiqāmah, it can be defined as steadfastness. It can also be defined as determination, or being at peace with the teaching of Islam, not being unwavering. Being unwavering is a good way of explaining Istiqāmah. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala 17 times a day in Surah Fatiha to guide us to that path of being unwavering in Islam. And how we understand Istiqāmah, an easy way to understand it is by looking at its opposite. And this is something we can actually use. It's an ayah in the Quran. If we hear this ayah and we know this is us, if we know this ayah describes us, then we know we need to do some introspection and determine our connection to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So there's an ayah where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes the opposite of Istiqāmah. It says, وَمِنَ النَّاسِ مَن يَعْبُدُ اللَّهَ عَلَى حَرْفٍ. There's some people who worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ala harf, as if they are standing on a ledge. So they are straddling the fence. If it gets difficult, they can jump ship. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَإِنْ أَصَابَهُ خَيْرٍ. If this person gets goodness, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sends good things to his over his path, then itma'anna bih, then he has itmi'nan, then he has peace on it, he feels content with it, he has peace of mind, he feels happy, then he's happy, as long as good things happen. Wa in asabatu fitna, but however, if fitna crosses his path, difficulty comes across him, he faces some challenges, now in qalaba ala wajhi, then he turns, he makes an about face, he does a U-turn, now he wants to jump ship. So as long as it's going good, everything is good. But as soon as the trials come and the difficulty come and the tests come, now he wants to abandon ship. Now he wants to turn around. So I've read this ayah personally, and at one point in my life I determined this is describing me. Wa na'udhu billah. I have to make a change. Because what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says about the person in that state is, khasira dunya wal akhirah. He loses the dunya and he loses the akhirah. ذَلِكَ وَالْخُسْرَانُ الْمُبِينَ. That is the ultimate loss. That's the ultimate loss. You lose everything. So the opposite of that is Istiqāmah. Istiqāmah is not wavering, staying on the straight path. And when Rasulullah ﷺ was asked about this, someone, a Sahabi named Sufyan ibn Abdullah radiallahu ta'ala anhu, he asked Rasulullah ﷺ, Rasulullah, give me one teaching of Islam. Tell me one thing about Islam that I would not have to ask anyone after you. So if I know this one thing, then I will be fine. I'll be okay. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam tells him, "Qul amantu billahi." Say, I believe in Allah. Fastaqim, and have istiqāmah, have steadfastness. Be unwavering about what you said. That I believe in Allah. Amantu billah. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam gives that as a summary of the entire deen. This is a summary of what Islam is about. The first thing is amantu billah, that I believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and then fastaqim, be unwavering. Be on that sirat al-mustaqim. Don't take shortcuts. Don't turn away. Don't make an about face. Don't make a U-turn now. You've said this, I believe in Allah, that is a commitment. So now you have to prove it.
What comes with
You
that?
have to prove it.
Exactly,
Yeah.
what comes with that.
Exactly. I'm sorry if I'm
Alhamdulillah, Shukraan. That was beautiful.
just
I was just wanted to add on to that is that I think everybody faces times like that, you know, where they feel like that ayah describes them. I
Yes,
think
definitely.
everybody goes through times like that, and so on. And it's how you persist through it and how you get through that that actually makes the difference at the end of the day.
definitely.
You know,
yeah.
because you can always turn back.
Yes.
That's the thing, right?
Definitely.
Allah
And
subhanahu wa ta'ala
something that
says so.
comes in with that is sabr and shukr, and the balance between the two concepts. So shukr being thankful for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's blessings, and then sabr, having patience in
In
hardship.
difficulties, yes.
Yeah.
And if you have an overabundance of one and a lack of the other, then you're going to be wavering.
Yes.
Then you waver all the time. So in my personal case, I'm sharing this now, something personal, but in my personal case, I found that I have more, I tend more towards shukr than sabr. So whenever good things come, then I'm like that person in the ayah.
Yeah.
You know, he has itmi'nan, he has peace of mind when good things come.
Yeah.
Now sabahu khair, if the good comes my way, then I make lots of shukr and I thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I'm on my deen, I'm practicing. But when the fitna comes,
Yeah.
وَإِنَّ أَصَابَتْهُ fitna, then the difficulty comes. Now, so I need sabr. So we need to analyze ourselves according to this ayah. If we are this person who is ala harf, on the ledge, you know, or do we have istiqāmah? May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us all istiqāmah, inshallah.
Ameen, inshallah. So, Sheikh, how is taqwa defined in the Quran, and why is it considered a core principle of our faith as well?
Subhanallah, in terms of describing taqwa, and I've thought many times about this, because our people have many conceptions about what taqwa is and many misconceptions about what taqwa is. And usually taqwa is defined it's translated into English as piety, right?
Okay.
So when people usually say that's a pious man, wow, that's a very pious person. In my experience, usually they're referring to external things. They're referring to the way the person looks, referring to the person has a big beard, the person wears a nice thobe, he's wearing a kurta that the slit is just right, or there's no slit, or the length above the ankles is just perfect. So it often refers to external things, and we associate that with piety. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Surah Baqarah, He gives us an amazing ayah. An ayah again, like the hadith I mentioned earlier.
Yes.
Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, "Kul amantu billahi fastaqim." It describes the deen in a very simple way. This ayah describes the entire deen of Islam, every single facet of Islam, in one ayah.
Okay.
From our beliefs to our actions to our interactions with people, and at the end it describes to us what is taqwa, what is true taqwa, what is true piety. And why I love this ayah is because it starts off defining the concept of bir, al-bir. Al-bir is godliness, goodness. So usually when we say taqwa, we mean the person acts in a way that is godly, that they are aware of of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala watching them. So al-bir is true godliness, it's true godly character, goodness. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم ليس البر أن تولوا وجوهكم قبل المشرق والمغرب ولكن البر من آمن بالله واليوم الآخر والملائكة والكتاب والنبيين. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, al-bir, goodness, you know, good character, virtuousness,
Yes.
is not to turn your face into a particular qibla. In other words, it's not a physical performance on the outside.
Okay.
Rather, al-bir is man amana billah, who believes in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and who believes in the akhirah, who believes in yawm al-qiyamah,
Yes.
believes that there's going to be a judgment, who believes in the angels, who believes in the messengers and the books.
Yes.
So belief is fundamental to bir, to goodness. Then وَآتَ الْمَالَ عَلَى حُبِّهِ ذَوِي الْقُرْبَى, and the one who gives out of love to those close around him. So gives charity to those around him, his close ones, out of love, ala hubbihi. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala lists a whole amount of people that someone can give to.
Yes.
Ala hubbi dhawil qurba wal yatama, to the orphans, wal masakin, and to the poor people, wasa'ilin, and to the person who asks, wafir riqab. So sa'ilin, usually we think beggars, begging is haram. We take that fatwa that begging is haram. And then we treat, sometimes when someone is begging, we treat them as if they are doing something haram. The way we treat them.
Yes.
But here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَأَتَى الْمَالَ عَلَى حُبِّهِ, give to the people, give of your wealth to people out of love. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says to as-sa'ilin, to the people who ask.
Yes.
So this guides us to how we should treat those people who are lesser than us, even a beggar. Regardless of what we might say that begging is haram for a Muslim because it's undignified, whatever. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us, be kind to those people, give to them.
Asking.
That's part of bir.
Exactly.
That is part of goodness. So this one concept, bir, is still being described. Then comes aqama salah, establish salah. Wa'ata zakah. The wa'atu zakah, and to pay zakah. So establish salah, pay zakah. Wal mufuna bi ahdihim idha ahadu, and those who are honest and just in their dealings with other people. Those who uphold their pacts and their contracts. وَالصَّابِرِينَ فِي الْبَأْسَاءِ وَالضَّرَّاءِ, and those who have in all situations, all hardships, they have sabr, they have patience. And I'm building towards taqwa. You might be thinking now, hey, when is this going to come? وَحِينَ الْبَأْسِ, even when the battle is pitched, even at the most pitched moment of battle, when the days are the darkest, then they still have sabr. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says at the end, أُولَٰئِكَ الَّذِينَ صَدَقُوا وَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْمُتَّقُونَ. Muttaqun, they are the people who have sadaqah, who have sidq, who have true conviction. Wa ulaika humul muttaqun, those are the true people who have taqwa. So taqwa, the true understanding of taqwa is to have albir, to have true godly character through how we conduct ourselves, not only externally. Laysa albirra an tuwallu wujuhakum, not to turn yourself physically from one side to another because I'm facing this qibla, that qibla, not the external performance. Internally, your conduct, what you believe, how you give freely to people, the sabr that you have, those characteristics of a believer, that is true taqwa.
Yeah, subhanAllah, that was a lot, eh?
Yeah. I was just thinking now on that, could it also mean to a certain extent of like what you do for others to see? Because a lot of people do things because people are watching. Do you know what I mean? So it's like they do it specifically because this person is here or this person's visiting my home. I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. And, just for a show of it, but it's not sincere. Yeah. Could that also be interpreted? Definitely. Encompassed in that as well?
Definitely. So that is, that's what we call riyah.
Exactly.
So riyah is you're doing something for the sake of other people. And there's a joke that people tell. I'm sorry, I don't want to waste too much time on a joke, but one of my teachers used to say, there's a man, everyone is in awe of how this man is making salah. He's praying, he looks so, like we say, pious, in inverted commas, because of his external appearance.
Yes.
So he's pious with the conception of the people.
Yes.
And he's praying and people are watching him. And he notices the people are watching him. And he knows people are now seeing this external thing that he's doing, but he wants to add just the cherry on top. So in his salah, while he's praying, he looks over and he says to the guy next to him, I'm fasting also. So he's taking, so this goes back to that ayah that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks about. He says, ذَلِكَ هُوَ الْخُسْرَانُ الْمُبِينُ, that is the ultimate loss. He loses khasira dunya wal akhirah. So now this person has destroyed his salah, and the reward he's getting for it because he's broken his salah. But now he's also broken the sincerity of that one act that we are leading up to now in Ramadan. We're preparing for Ramadan. That one act that is only between you and Allah because people can't see it.
Yes.
Yeah. So also in regards to taqwa, it's got a very strong link to the concept of ihsan. Ihsan, because in the hadith of Jibreel, when Jibreel comes to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and asks him, teach me about Islam. Ya Muhammad, tell me what is Iman. Tell me what is Ihsan. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam defines Ihsan, and I'm glad that you mentioned watching, what people are watching what you're doing, because Ihsan is defined as أن تعبد الله كأنك تراه وإن لم تكن تراه فإنه يراك. Worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as if you can see Him in front of you. And if you don't see Him, know that He sees you. So this is also a fundamental part of taqwa. Is to know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is watching us, everything that we do. And to strive for that goodness where everything we do with that sincerity and that level of devotion and that level of albir, of goodness, commitment to goodness, that almost as if we see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Subhanallah, that was fantastic. So, Sheikh, we have a follow-up question here. What did the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam say about Istiqāmah when asked for a simple yet comprehensive teaching?
Bismillah, Alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salam ala Rasulillah. So the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam was asked, and I believe we spoke about this a bit earlier.
Yes.
Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was asked by a Sahabi named Sufyan ibn Abdullah, Rasulullah, what is a teaching that I don't have to ask anyone about
Yes.
after you?
Exactly. Yeah.
Explain to me, essentially, Islam in a way that I can take this with me and I won't ever have to ask any additional information. Give me the core concept of Islam,
Yes.
essentially. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam replied to him, Kul amantu billahi, say I believe in Allah, fastaqim, and then have commitment to that. Be unwavering on that. Be upright upon that teaching,
Yes.
upon that statement. So we get from this that you say amantu billahi, you say I believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but then you have to prove it. It's not just a matter of saying it. You have to prove what that statement means to you. You have to prove that that statement is truly in your heart, that you've got sidq, that you've got true conviction upon that statement.
Yes.
So, and this ties into an ayah of the Quran as well. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, أَحَسِبَ النَّاسُ أَن يُتْرَكُوا أَن يَقُولُوا آمَنَّا. Do the people think that they will be left to just say amanna, to just say that I believe, وَهُمْ لَا يُفْتَنُونَ, and that they won't be tested? So we know that when we say amanna, when we say we believe, then we become tested. Then the tests come, the tests start coming. So istiqāmah is the test, that is the trial. Having istiqāmah after we say we believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because we know in this world, for the believer there's many tests.
Yes.
So that is the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in Sahih Muslim, Sahih Hadith. And like we said, that is a comprehensive teaching of Islam. What Islam is really about at its core. However, there is tafsil, there is explanation of everything. So we can't just say, I believe in Allah. The very essence of the hadith is that we can't just say we believe in Allah. We must have istiqāmah. But we also can't just say we believe in Allah and have it undefined.
Yes.
We don't know what we mean by we believe in Allah.
Yes.
What does that belief mean? What does having istiqāmah mean? What does it mean to be unwavering in your faith, in your belief of Allah? So there's different details to it, and it can be elaborated upon in great depth. But the fundamental teaching, and there's a level on which we all understand it. We believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and then we're going to be tested at some point in our life. And istiqāmah is being resilient in those tests, maintaining that belief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala throughout those tests.
Okay.
Shukran, Sheikh.
Shukran, Sheikh.
So, Sheikh, we've touched on taqwa and istiqāmah already, right? And how that actually influences a believer's actions and the decisions that they make in daily life. So, just to expand on that link between istiqāmah and taqwa, as well as to find out what did how did the Prophet ﷺ describe the role of istiqāmah and taqwa in attaining the success of the year after. So how does it all come together in like a little comprehensive way, so to say, to attain the year after?
So look, we go back to the definition of what taqwa is and how the ulama have defined it. Let's look, for instance, at what Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu ta'ala anhu said, what taqwa is. So when he was asked about taqwa, he made a gesture. He pulled up his garment slightly. So he said, if I'm walking through a thorn brush, then I do this. I pull up my garment ever so slightly, so it doesn't get caught on the bushes, doesn't get caught on the thorns. So that essentially is taqwa. You are taking precaution against harm. So we are taking precaution against the harm of the akhirah. We're taking precaution against being punished in the akhirah by regulating our behavior in this dunya in such a way that we will be safe. So it goes back to worshipping Allah as if we see Him. So we love Allah and we want to express that love to Allah. So we do things, we do acts of goodness and kindness, and we do acts of obedience to Allah to prove that, but also just simply out of our love for Allah. But then we abstain from acts of disobedience. We abstain from evil acts because we don't want to be punished in the akhirah, but also because we love Allah. So ideally, the higher level of iman is that we do everything. And Rabi'atul Adawiyya, she was a great Sufi saint in Iraq,
Yes.
a female Sufi. She used to say that the ideal is to do everything out of the love of Allah, not out of fear for punishment or one for reward.
Subhanallah.
So you do everything in this dunya. You have taqwa in this dunya. So taqwa being, you know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is watching you.
Yes.
Whether you do good or whether you do evil. So Allah sees every good you do.
Yes.
You don't have to publicize it to anyone because Allah knows.
Exactly.
Allah is the one who distributes the rewards for those good deeds. And if you do evil, then you know Allah has seen that as well. And Allah is most just in how He deals with everyone.
Exactly.
But so that's one thing. You stay away from sin because you fear punishment.
Yes.
Or you do good because you expect reward. But in the words of great Sheikh Abdul Hakim Murad, Timothy Winter,
Yes.
he describes this mindset as, he calls it, the cosmic slot machine. So he says this is almost as if you are playing slots at a casino and you're just pulling that lever. You just want the rewards. You want rewards. You want rewards. You want to win. This is not the ideal way of approaching our relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because then essentially we're like, if one of your friends treats you like this, they only do things because they want something out of you,
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
right? Then do you call that person a leech?
Of course.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Of course.
So
Very
the cosmic slot machine is in place because we get the rewards. We know Allah has guaranteed our rewards for us. We know Allah has guaranteed punishment for certain sins.
Yes.
So that cosmic slot machine is there, but it can't be our entire existence. We have to leave the casino also and get to a point where, as Rabi'atul Adawiyya says, love Allah so much that you do everything out of love for Him. You abstain from sin not because you worried about punishment. You worried about, you love Allah. So if you want to please someone that you love, you'll only do that which pleases
Do
Him.
right by them.
Yes.
Yes. 100%.
So the idea of taqwa is linked to the akhirah. It's also linked to the dunya because it regulates our dunyawi, our earthly practices,
Actions.
and our
And our
beliefs
fears,
and our
yeah.
feelings and everything, because Allah is aware of everything. But it's linked to the akhirah in that it regulates the way we engage with sin and obedience. It regulates what we do because we don't want to face the consequences of that in the akhirah. We'd rather face it in the dunya. So taqwa and istiqāmah, and that ties into istiqāmah as well, because istiqāmah is walking the straight path. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, ihdina as-sirat al-mustaqim,
Yes.
guide us to that path of istiqāmah, that path of being unwavering. And there's in Tafsir ibn Kathir, in the Tafsir of Al-Fatiha,
Yes.
there's a description of the sirat al-mustaqim, the straight path that we ask Allah to guide us on.
Yes.
And it is a long, straight passageway with doors on the sides. Right?
Okay.
And you are walking on this passageway and there's one person at the end that's calling you, come straight, don't turn off. And that person that's calling you to come straight, that is the word of Allah, the book of Allah. The Quran is calling you, come straight.
Yes.
And the doors on the side, that is sin. So the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is calling you straight to walk straight on that path and not go into the doors on either side. So we are trying to be on that straight path, and we know there's obstacles. That's what istiqāmah is. It's knowledge that there are going to be obstacles. There are going to be tests.
Yes.
But we said, amantu billah, I believe in Allah. So now we have to decide, are we going to have istiqāmah, stay on the straight path in spite of those obstacles, or are we going to waver?
Subhanallah, shukran Sheikh, that was brilliant. You've answered more questions that we had before sitting. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.
So I think that the biggest thing for me, during Ramadan now and the theme of Istiqāmah is to focus on the little things, because how do you build consistency and that steadfastness? How do you build steadfastness or Istiqāmah is to do things consistently. So what would your advice be, not only to, I'd say, seasoned Muslims, but also to reverts? What would your advice be to, remain steadfast in Ramadan, but also after Ramadan?
Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wasalam ala rasulillah. So there's two angles to this question, or two aspects of it.
Yes.
So one is going to be, what Muslims can do now in Ramadan
Yes.
while this blessed month is going on.
Yes.
And what can you do to prepare for next Ramadan? Because while you are in Ramadan, there's the issue of missed opportunity. Because we know that the Salaf, for instance, used to call Sha'ban, the month before Ramadan, they used to call it Shahrul Qura, the month of the Qura, the month of the reciters of the Quran, which might sound counterintuitive because we associate that with Ramadan.
Yeah.
Taraweeh, right? But Ramadan is Shahrul Quran. Ramadan is the month of the Quran.
Okay.
But Sha'ban is the month of the reciters of the Quran, because that is when the houses are buzzing with the Hufad, the reciters,
Okay.
preparing
That makes sense.
preparing for Ramadan.
Yes.
So
You
there's
know,
a lot of
awakening
recitation
that
happening.
lesson, awakening the Quran in them before Ramadan. So the Salaf used to call it Shahrul Qura, the month of reciters. So let's deal with that first. What can we do next Ramadan? Sorry, that's maybe like a backwards way of dealing with it. But let's look at the future with optimism, inshallah. So so ideally, preparation for Ramadan starts already in Rajab.
Yes.
And, you know, the Salaf, the first 3 generations, they used to prepare after Ramadan. As soon as Ramadan is finished, they already start their preparation for the next Ramadan.
Yes.
But 3 months, consecutive months, Rajab, Sha'ban, and then Ramadan. Those specific months of Rajab and Sha'ban are given special attention for preparation. So it's like a month, in Rajab, it's like a month where you're planting a seed. And then Sha'ban is where you're cultivating that seed. And Ramadan is where that seed blossoms. So the effort we put into those months, in terms of fasting, in terms of reciting Quran, in terms of working on our character.
Yes.
Because Ramadan, the reason for Ramadan, for fasting, is so that we can become muttaqoon.
Yes.
So that we can become pious.
Pious.
That's what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, why Ramadan has been instituted.
Yeah.
You know, why we should fast. Because we want to become pious. We want to become pious in inverted commas, but we want to become really pious. We want to become righteous people. So we work on that already in Rajab and Sha'ban.
Okay.
But when we have reached Ramadan, and this is also important for a lot of people who embrace Islam within Ramadan, because this happens every year. People embrace Islam in the middle of Ramadan, for instance. Sometimes if they, you know, some people are fortunate, they embrace the day before fasting starts, or maybe the night before. But what about that person who's already finding themselves in Ramadan? What can they do now? So now, obviously, we are operating in a time where we know it is said that the shayateen are locked up, right? The shayateen are tied up in the hadith.
Yes.
Okay, and the hadith says maradatul jinn. So the rebellious jinn are tied up. So some ulama have a difference of opinion and say not all of the jinn, not all the shayateen are tied up. Some people say no, the shayateen that aren't tied up are us. We are, in Ramadan. So now you find the shaitan is tied up, but then you think, subhanallah, why am I having so much problems with this woman in Ramadan? I'm fasting, it's difficult, man, it's a long day. She's giving me so much trouble. You know, maybe it's because you are the shaitan that wasn't tied up.
Maybe.
You know? So that now we encounter the problem of the nafs.
Yes.
Because even in the absence of shaitan is easy to deal with. Imam Ghazali says shaitan is not really a foe that you have to worry about compared to your nafs. Because how do we get rid of shaitan? You say, A'udhu billahi minash shaitan rajim. Shaitan has got no power over you. And at the end of the day, he doesn't have really power over you, because what's he going to tell you on Qiyamah? He's going to say, La talumuni, don't blame me. Lumu anfusakum. Blame yourselves.
Exactly.
Don't blame me, blame yourselves. So shaitan can we bacha him away. So we say, A'udhu billahi minash shaitan rajim, and he's
Gone.
tied up.
Goodbye.
The Ramadan is anyway tied up. But now we sit with our nafs, and our nafs is there from the moment of our birth until we leave this dunya. And you can't bacha your nafs away. You can't, there's no secret recipe to saying something and then your nafs leaves you alone.
Oh,
Recipe, you
And-
imagine, eh?
And you need your nafs. We need our nafs. Without our nafs, we are not human. Without our nafs, we die.
It's true.
True.
So your nafs is the thing that keeps you, makes you sleep, gives you the drive to sleep so that you can regenerate and so that you can live another day and with energy. Your nafs is the thing that gives you hunger so that you can feed yourself and stay alive. Your nafs is the thing that drives you towards sexual desire because we need to procreate as a species. So
Yes.
it's very fundamental to the survival of our entire species as humans.
Yes.
And animals, because animals are full nafs. They are
Yeah,
nafs on
driven by
another
nafs.
level.
Yeah.
Right? So that's why we
Driven by
call someone who's nafs driven animalistic.
Yes.
It's an animalistic drive, right? But our nafs can become harmful to us because that drive for eating and sleeping and sexual desire that can overwhelm us,
Yes.
then it's not good. Then it's past the point of just surviving. Then it gets to the point where it takes your life over. Then you get things like sex addiction, and you get people who sleep their entire life away. You get people who become morbidly obese because they can't stop eating.
Yes.
So in Ramadan, this is now a test for our nafs, because already we are making imsak. We are staying away from imsak, meaning abstinence from food and drink, from intercourse,
Regulations,
you know,
Yeah.
in the day. So
Yes.
don't misunderstand. For the brothers and sisters out there as well, don't worry. When you break your fast, then that is permissible for you. It's encouraged as well.
Exactly.
But we stay away from those things in the day. And all of those, it's important to remember, these are things that are halal. So permissible things that we stay away from. We stay away from things that are permissible.
Yes.
So the lesson that we take from this and the encouragement that we take from this during Ramadan is, subhanallah, I can stay away from food and drink, which is something I need to survive.
Yes.
I can stay away from sexual intercourse.
Yes.
Why can't I stay away from sin? Why can't I stay away from something that's haram? I can stay away from something that's permissible that I do every day.
Yes.
So I can do it. So that encouragement comes from Ramadan. We get that training because we stay away from permissible things. We've got no excuse for not staying away from impermissible things.
Subhanallah. That's yeah.
So in Ramadan, we are training our nafs. It's an opportunity, and our nafs needs to be trained throughout our entire life. We need to get a good grip on our nafs.
Yes.
So Ramadan is the perfect opportunity to do that, because we are removing things from our nafs by obligation from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Allah is giving us a obligatory training period to bring our nafs under control, so that we can become muttaqoon, so that we can become people with taqwa.
Subhanallah, Sheikh, shukran so much. That was a lot. And I think to the listeners and to the people who are watching this on our YouTube, I'm sure this was beneficial for you. It was beneficial for us, most definitely.
100%.
We will be back next week, inshallah. So once again, shukran so much, Sheikh, for being with us today. For everyone at home, if you're watching this on YouTube, do us a favor, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell. From our side here at the Opinion 2.0 podcast, my name is Millennial Warden.
My name is Muhammad Yasin Jacobs.
And Sheikh Labuschagne. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.